Hello, this is Nisha Faye. Welcome to my channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do consider it, and don't forget to click the bell icon so that you are notified as soon as I do upload my next video. Alright, so I'm going to be discussing murders that happen in South Africa, all over South Africa, different times, different subjects of course, and I am pretty excited to actually start this journey with you, and I hope that you do enjoy it thoroughly. Alright, so I'm going to be discussing Dorethea Kraft. Now, the reason why she specifically, or her case specifically, is so interesting to me is because she was the first woman in South Africa to be hanged. So I had to find out, like, what did this woman do to deserve to be hanged? Because I mean, that is pretty serious. So yeah, there's not that much information about Dorethea Kraft herself, and not on her background. You can't really find out that much information about her, like her backstory, who she was really as a person. What we do know, however, is that she was either a widow or she was divorced. She lived on a farm called Treerfontein. This was in a little town called Kalini, which is in northwest of South Africa. I will post a little picture over here so you can see where it is. We know that she lived on the farm with her daughter Polly, as well as the workers. Now, Treerfontein was where she actually made her money doing farming, and she did have a lot of issues when it came to actually being able to make money. For about 7 or 8 seasons, there was drought as well as infertile soil on her land, and she also struggled to actually get her workers to do their job. In the 1800s, it wasn't really common for women to be in higher positions, positions of authority. Her workers didn't really respect her. They were not happy that they actually had to report to her, so they basically did the bare minimum, and this didn't help her situation any further. So she knew for quite a while that she actually needed to get a man in place to run the farm for her. Now, this is where we meet the unfortunate victim, a man by the name of Louis Tempowski. Now, we know a little bit more about Louis. We know that he had a sister that was living in a different country. Now, Louis Tempowski was a businessman. That is what he did. He just thought, how can I make money? He was an immigrant. He came from the United States in 1887. So he first moved to Johannesburg, which was a thriving mining town. He decided that he was going to do a general goods store, where he was selling produce to the mine workers as well as to the prospectors around the area. Dorothy and Louis met one day when Louis was actually traveling around to different farms as well as to small holdings to find fresh produce for his general goods store. It's not really clear if she immediately went to Louis and said to him, okay, I need someone to work on my farm, a man. Can you please do it, or can you at least find someone to help me? But eventually they came to an agreement that he was going to manage the farm. It was decided that he would actually move onto the farm. Her daughter Polly would still be able to live on the farm, but the contract was, so it's not that clear whether it was an immediate discussion between Louis as well as Dorothea, but eventually they came to an understanding that Louis would move onto the farm. He would actually become the manager, and Dorothea would pay him a certain amount every year. The contract ran from, let's say for example, from the 1st of January to the end of December, and then it would get renewed at the end of the year. They both signed this contract, and at the time there wasn't really any lawyers available to them immediately, so they had to send the documents away to Johannesburg, which was then made legal and binding. Now, here's the kicker. Not only was Dorothea and Louis business partners, but they were also lovers, so they shared a bed. I don't know how that came about. As I said, there's not that much information, but I do find it a little bit suspicious and a little bit weird. That's just me. So they lived on the farm together. He was the manager. This didn't really help the situation on the farm. Things actually kind of much stayed the same from what I can find out. So the farm still did badly. So she decided that she was going to sell the farm because this would cut out a lot of her issues financially. Her daughter Polly as well as herself would be financially stable. They could perhaps move away to a better place and start new. So it was too much work for her. So this is where Louis actually confesses to Dorothea that he put a clause in the contract that stated that at the end of the contract, so let's say in December, Louis had an option to buy the property from Dorothea at a fraction of the cost. And he was actually planning on doing this because he knew that the property was going to become very valuable later on. So this didn't really sit well with Dorothea. She didn't really know what to do. At this point, their relationship as man and wife wasn't doing well either. It's not clear, but you can assume that they were not sleeping even in the same bed, and you'll find out now why. So with not many options, Dorothea decides that she's going to approach the local witch doctor.
Witch doctor!
Yeah, you heard right. A witch doctor. Now, this witch doctor lived in a farm next to her, so it was really easy for her to just walk on over. So this gentleman, his name was Jim Bird, but he was also known as Whiskers. And I love that name. So she approaches him, and because he is a witch doctor, she asked him for a love potion that she can give to Louis, so that he becomes so infatuated with her that he definitely won't sell the farm and screw her over like he was clearly intending on doing. Dorothea, what were you thinking? She gets this love potion from this witch doctor and she gives it to Louis. Now, it doesn't make him fall in love with her. It makes him very sick, to the point that he believes that she has now poisoned him. He will not take any food from her. He will not drink any tea or coffee that she makes for him, because he's now afraid that she is trying to kill him. So her plan didn't work. He didn't fall in love with her. What was she to do? Was she going to let him sell the farm? Was she maybe going to speak to him in a better way? No. She was going to go back to the witch doctor.
Witch doctor!
For a second time. Now this time, he feels a bit bad for her. And he gives her an option to kill Louis by still using witchcraft. I don't know why he actually wanted to help her. So all he asks for is a lock of hair that he will then put into a matchbox with some witchcraft magic, voodoo doo. Now her instructions, from what I understand, is that you need to bury the matchbox underneath the door of Louis's bedroom, and then he would die of natural causes. So there was no foul play, nobody's gonna know. But this also didn't work. That's where I kind of determined that they were no longer sleeping together. So this is where we beat Lambertus Swart. Now Lambertus Swart was the paramour or the lover of Polly, which was Dorothea's daughter. He would visit the farm on a regular basis. It is said that he may or may not have had a sexual relationship with Dorothea as well as her daughter Polly. That is most likely why he actually felt quite sorry for her. He was sympathetic towards her. He understood that she was struggling and he just wanted to help her out in more ways than one. Perhaps he thought that if he helped Dorothea to get rid of Louis, that he could marry Polly and then become the owner, eventually at least, of Treurfontein. So, everybody wins. She gets rid of her issues with Louis, and he gets to marry Polly, his love, and then he also gets a business. Either Dorothea or Lambertus went and approached Whiskers and asked him to help them to get rid of Louis for the last time. For reals, no witchcraft. Now Whiskers felt very, very sorry for Dorothea. He felt bad because none of his witchcraft helped her to get rid of Louis. So he agreed, and he was also going to help them get rid of the body so that nobody would find out what happened. Now, it's the night of February 2nd, 1918. This is the night that Louis was murdered. There were thunderstorms, and because they live on a farm in the middle of nowhere, they can pretty much do whatever they want and nobody's going to find out. Well, at least nobody is going to hear what's happening. Dorothea Lambertus, Whiskers, as well as 3 other workers got together at an old farmhouse, which we're not clear how far away from the farm it was itself, but it was on the same property. and that is where they devised their plan. They would creep into the house on the night of 2nd of February. They provided Whiskers with a knopkitty, which is a type of club that is used to hunt animals. You would throw it at the animal and hopefully it would actually kill them. You could also use it to club your enemy to death. And that's clearly what they were intending on using it for. You know, Louis was a bad guy. So bad. So bad. They were whispering to each other, walking around the house as quietly as they could. It's at this point that Lambertus shoves Whiskers into Louis's room.
A few moments later.
Lambertus enters the room, sees Louis laying on the bed with a head wound, but he isn't confident that Louis is dead. So he proceeds then to strangle Louis to death, as well as to slit his throat, just to make sure that he is really gone, you know. It's at this point that Whiskers flees the scene. He just runs out, he bolts, he's out of here. He wants nothing to do with this. He did not expect that things were going to turn this way. After Lambertus is confident that Louis is dead, Dorothea and 3 laborers carried Louis's body and buried it underneath a rubbish dump which was also on the farm. Now, you may have been wondering, where was Polly this entire time? Well, she was hiding in her bedroom. So after Louis was murdered, she decided to move to Johannesburg just to get away from it all, because she couldn't deal. After the murder, Dorothea told people in the town as well as her neighbors that Louis had abandoned her and that she had no idea where he was. Her neighbors didn't believe this. They didn't buy it. She ended up staying with her neighbors for quite a while because she was scared that something would happen to her because she was alone on the farm. The neighbors noticed that mail was still coming for Louis, and then they decided they were going to contact Louis' sister, who was living in Rhodesia. And she also got communication from people that they wanted to buy the farm, and she wasn't able to get hold of her brother either, and they found this very suspicious. The neighbors then contacted the police as well as Louis' sister, and they just told them that it was very suspicious that Louis had just gone missing and nobody can get hold of him. Now, this is where it gets a little bit exciting. So the husband of Louis' sister contacted the head of the Transvaal Detective Services and handed over the contract that was signed between Louis as well as Dorothea. This was to show that Louis would never leave, because if he had left, then he would be giving up property that he could have bought at dirt cheap. And since he was a businessman, that would be a stupid move to make, to just disappear. On 20th July 1920, Sergeant Williams as well as a group of convict laborers went onto the farm to actually search for any signs of Louis or his remains. They drained the wells, pulled down the walls, lifted the flooring inside the farmhouse. They dug up the garden, but they still didn't find anything. So eventually Sergeant Daniels approached the local witch doctor, Mr. Whiskers, and they asked him if he had seen anything. Now, Whiskers was very afraid of the law, like more afraid than anything. After Sergeant Williams asked him a couple of questions, he broke down and he admitted what he had done to assist in killing Louis. Sergeant Williams wasn't really expecting this, especially from a witch doctor, but it helped the case quite dramatically. He eventually became a star witness and nothing happened to him. Now, Whiskers left the farm before he could see where Louis was buried. So there was no real way for him to determine where Louis's body was. But he used his magical powers and found Louis's body. Was it witchcraft? On the 22nd of September, Dorothea Lambertus as well as the other 3 laborers were arrested for murder. Now here's also something quite alarming. In the 2 years since Louis was murdered, Dorothea had remarried and she was now known as Dorethea van der Merwe. Nice. On the day of sentencing, Whiskers was the crown witness. He told the court everything that had happened, and they couldn't deny it. She was guilty. They didn't really have any evidence because back in the day there wasn't much. So they were basically just taking Whiskers' word for it, as well as the fact that there was a body on her property and she was lying when she didn't know where he was. And who else could have done it, you know? On the day of sentencing, Whiskers was the crown witness, and this is where things just, this woman, I just can't. Whiskers tells the court that he was paid by Dorothea in sexual favors. So not only was she sleeping with Louis, but she was also sleeping with Whiskers, and then her soon-to-be son-in-law. Nice. I mean, this woman gets around, and now she's married, so. Dorothea and Lambertus were both hanged at the Portia Central Prison on the 16th of August, as well as the 17th of August, respectively, and this was in 1921. So this is where the story pretty much ends. Give me your thoughts, what you think, how was that? Was it interesting? Was that as much as of a roller coaster ride for you as it was for me? Every moment that I was just reading about this case, I was thinking to myself, what is this woman doing? What is going on? And this happened in South Africa? Yeah, so she was the first woman to be hanged, and that's what she did. So thank you for joining me today, and I hope to see you soon. And let me know if there are any crimes that happen in South Africa that you would like me to report on. I will do a lot of research, and I hope that it makes you happy as it makes me happy. Bye!